Hey, what's going on YouTube? I just wanted to make a video talking about Amazon Sales Rank and how you can use it to grow your side hustle. So, the sales rank, what is it? So the sales rank is a ranking of the frequency that an item sells within a particular category at a moment in time, where the lower the sales rank is, the more frequent it sells at the moment in time. The higher the sales rank, the less frequent it sells at the moment in time. Where, for example, like with games or books, if it ranks between 1 and 10, it's going to sell dozens or hundreds of copies a day. But if it's ranked like 2 million, it's just not going to sell that much. And this is extremely important to keep in mind. So for one thing, you're going to want to focus obviously on like items that have a lower sales rank, because that's going to get you the best sales. But it's important to keep in mind that it is varies based on different categories. Where here you can see, by the way, a shout out to Everyday FBA. Here is what his kind of his channel looks like, and this is a resource that he has on his video, which is linked to in the description. And this kind of shows you the rankings that you should focus on across various categories. Where personally I like to focus on the 5% or less, but if you want to be more picky, you can do the 1 or 3%, or you can be more broad and focus on the 10% or less. But that's extremely important to keep in mind, because as you can see from this chart, books, right? 480,000 is a pretty good rank for a book. And if you find an item that's ranked like 10,000 in books, that's a phenomenal sales rank. But on the other hand, if you find something ranked 10,000 in appliances, or software especially, that's just not as good. Also, it is extremely important to keep in mind that it is for a specific listing. Now, the reason why this is important is because, for one thing, a lot of times you'll be scanning items and you'll see stuff without a sales rank, which means that the item hasn't, which means that listing hasn't sold. But you will see various sales ranks where you might see one listing for a hardcover book that's in like 5,000, another one that's for 1,000,000 or something. And that is important to keep in mind, because there are factors such as the price of an item that will help the sales rank go up, or for some reason one listing may just be trending more and have better keywords than the other listing, which will cause it to be better. But with that being said, sometimes you like find a book, and if and you have one listing that's ranked 5,000, that's just not a price you're really comfortable at selling it at. But you have another listing that is at a price that's much more favorable. Like, I remember recently this summer, I had a book. There's one listing that was ranked 36,000 that sold for about $15, $20. But another listing at 300,000 that sold for $30. So I listed it at the lower listing, trying to experiment with it a little bit, and it sold. There was another time too where I found a book for 66 cents, and there was a better ranked listing that sold for about $8. And on the other hand, though, there was a rank in the 2 million range that sold for over $20. So I decided to experiment and list at the less favorable rank, and I was still able to be profitable in it. But also, it is important to keep in mind that it is for a specific listing, because a lot of times you will see a listing, and this is not a very good example, but it will say new and it will say used right next to the new. And this is extremely important to keep in mind, because a lot of times you will see like a used version selling for $15 or $20, but the new version selling for quite a bit more, or the used version would be like $5 or $6, but the new listing sells for $20 to $25. And yes, there is still good money to be made selling books in new condition if you can find them. But with that being said, keep that in mind, because oftentimes it is the lower price used portion of the listing that is driving the sales rank, where the new version sells a lot less frequently. That's another very important thing to keep in mind. But also, it is extremely important to keep in mind, because a lot of times you will see books that are dated. For example, this SAT study guide, 962 in books. And here you see the 2016 edition, which is ranked 44,000. As you can see, because this book is a little bit less relevant, it is not ranked as well. That doesn't mean it isn't going to sell, and 44,000 is still a phenomenal ranking for books, don't get me wrong. But with that being said though, said that this book is going to become less and less relevant as they come up with new tests and they have new questions. And this is especially important when looking at textbooks, for example. As a college student myself, I sit there and I can't help but think of like how I spent $500 last semester on textbooks. Just because, you have to get the loose leaf ones with access code, which is like 20% of your grade. But but you have to keep in mind that with textbooks, they are coming out with new editions all the time. And the one and only reason why a college student buys the textbooks and why they sell is because the professor asks them to buy it. And it's not very often that professors ask for older editions of textbooks, unless they're trying to be really nice and are looking to figure out a way to use an older edition to save the college students money. But most professors just want the student to get the newest version of the textbook, even though it might cost $150. But with that being said, you'll go to thrift stores and garage sales, and you'll be like, "Oh man, I found these textbooks." But keep in mind that if it's ranked like 3 or 4 million, even if the used listing is, even if the used listing might be for like $50, it might not be a good item to purchase because professors aren't requiring the textbook anymore. The ranking isn't going to get any better, and oftentimes people recognize that, and they are willing to be a lot more price competitive on it. And it's the same thing with any dated book, like the test prep books that I was showing. But with that being said, too, ranks can also go up, right? A lot of times you can have more people find books and drop the price and be very competitive and drop the prices some. And you can also have situations where like people's interest changes, or news stories come out that people just become fascinated with, or whatever the reason. There's more demand for a specific book, which can also drive the rankings up quite a bit. As you can see, here's the best ranking items that are. Here's the page for the bestsellers on Amazon, and as you can see, it really just here's a page for books where you can see the books that are ranked the highest that are selling the most frequently. And as you can see, there's everything from Justice on Trial to The Pigeon Has to Go to School. I mean, there's really just no rhyme or reason. With that being said, it never hurts to take a look at these once in a while to just go and see what books you should really kind of be on the lookout for. Because sometimes there'll be to go and see like what books you really should keep on the lookout for. Or if you're looking like wholesale books, this is something good to look into, because sometimes you will be able to find these books that are more popular now and be able to find people that wholesale them. Also, one last note to keep in mind about the ranking is that the main way that you can compete with other sellers on Amazon is to be price competitive. Where a lot of times, like with eBay, you can get items, group them differently, take better pictures, have better keywords, but on the other hand, with Amazon, the biggest thing you can do is either the biggest thing you can do is be as price competitive as possible. I mean, there are ways that, yes, you can go and improve the listing, but that's going to help everybody out. And that's going to help you out because it helps the listing out. If other people are priced better than you, then it's going to be very hard to make the sale. But people do pay a little bit more money for books that are in better condition. A very good book might sell for a couple more dollars than a acceptable or good book. And if you have a new book, then that might sell for, then even if like the lowest used book price is $8, you might be able to sell a used book for $14 or $15. And one last note on condition looking at books, just because I feel this is something that is beneficial that I've kept and that I've made mistakes of in the past. Whenever you're looking at books, in general, hardcover books stay in better condition. Also, keep on the lookout for. Also, always look at the front cover, because a lot of times people might write like a personal note with their name, and that's not something that you're going to want to have in a book. So, anyways, hopefully you found this video to be helpful about sales rank and a couple of condition notes. And please like, subscribe, and comment, and check out this resource and Everyday FBA. Shout out to this channel, Everyday FBA. in his video, where he has the link in the description, because that is extremely beneficial and has helped me a lot. So thank you all, have a great day.